Everybody seems concerned about the 49ers offensive line except the 49ers. While analysts are sounding the alarm, the 49ers spent little money and even less draft capital addressing what could be their biggest vulnerability. So is this justified confidence or a catastrophic miscalculation? I brought in offensive line expert and former NFL offensive lineman Geoff Schwartz to answer this question. Is the Niners line good enough? Before we hear from Geoff, let's establish how good your offensive line needs to be to compete. In the last 5 years, the average PFF ranking of Super Bowl champions' offensive lines was 7. Super Bowl participants, top 10. Conference championship participants, 8. Divisional rounds, 11. And to be a wildcard team, you don't even need a top 15 offensive line. That said, teams with top 10 offensive lines are 3 times more likely to advance beyond the wildcard round. So that seems like a pretty wide target for the 49ers to hit. The question for Geoff then is, what stops them from hitting it?
If one of these guys gets hurt at all, the line is screwed, right? Like if Pooney was out half a season, you're just – Trent's out you're just screwed. There's no depth behind it whatsoever. They brought in those former first-round picks that can't play. They were good. They'd be somewhere else starting right now, right? So if the unit that is going to start the season starts and plays all 17 games, it's probably fine enough to compete in a lot of games. But you do look at the division winners, and it's hard to ignore the Lions, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills. Like these, if you're ranking best offensive lines in the NFL, those are some of the ones you're starting with. The Eagles, obviously, I forgot the Eagles, right? So I don't think that offensive line is that good as of right now. So we'll see as the season goes, obviously. But to me, it's just depth. I just, if someone gets hurt, there's nobody behind anyone. And I think the drop-off is pretty severe.
And that was the case last year, too. Look at this. The 49ers, believe it or not, ranked 13th by PFF overall in the offensive line. There was a big difference with Trent Williams weeks 1 through 11 when they graded out just over 80. That's top 10 caliber last year. And weeks 12 through 18, a PFF grade of 72, a significant drop, highlighting what we all know. Trent Williams is the difference between competing for a championship and watching the playoffs from home. And the 49ers look content to try it again and believe what Kyle Shanahan's always believed. His scheme will elevate his offensive linemen.
Well, they certainly feel that way with the outside zone, right? If you get it coached right, you don't probably need to have 5 incredible offensive linemen. But look, the way that NFL teams, I think, try to build offensive lines now, Guy, does sort of follow that a little bit, where it's not about having the best players at every position. It's about not having a weak link, right? If you have 5 average guys, that might be better than having 1 superstar, 2 average, and 2 below average, right? Like having 5 guys to just get the job done. It might not be pretty. It might not be perfect. They might not be Pro Bowlers and All-Pro guys. But if you work together, and that really is the outside zone run scheme, right? Where if you do it correctly as a group, it works out really well. But again, you look at the best offensive lines in the NFL, and they have an All-Pro here, an All-Pro there, and which the Niners do. They have Trent Williams, obviously. So it's hard to say that works a lot of the time. I do think more often than not, you would like to have just better football players at every position. Offensive line is one of them.
The center position has long been a debate for the 49ers, with Jake Brendel back again in 2025, a guy that the 49ers seem happy with.
I think he's just fine. And I saw John Lynch talk about the draft process this year, right? And like sort of not overdrafting offensive linemen. And I totally get that guy. I get that idea. But this sort of goes to your point about the resources, right? Where you look at like, okay, can we replace, was there a position in the draft in the 4th or 5th round to take a center of the future? Because again, like the depth is just not there. If Brendel's not good, that drags down everyone else. And you know, in the outside zone scheme, that center is so important, right? If he gets pushed back at all or can't hook his guy, like it sort of stunts the progress. In other offenses where you have more of a power scheme where you build in double teams, that guy doesn't have to be, I think, as good. There's just more one-on-one opportunities and sort of the zone run scheme that makes it difficult. So, there's work to be done there.
So you have to wonder, is the 7th round pick, Connor Colby, who's known right now as much more of a run blocker than a pass blocker, anywhere near ready? Is he near being able to play at this current level of development?
If you can rely on the run blocking early, you can figure out how to pass protect, right? If you have one thing that's good, you can spend a lot of time working on the other thing, which is good. It's a good start for him to have. Pass protection, by the way, is a problem for most offensive linemen. I mean, it's just when you watch college film, I know you do as well, there's just not a lot of true pass protection reps. You just can't find it. There's just not a lot of true pass protection sets. I argue with people all the time when it comes to draft season. They're like, 27% of this guy's pass sets were true. I'm like, do you watch the same film I watch? There's like 7 a game. What are we talking about that are true pass protection? So that's a problem guide for everyone. So it's about traits, right? Do you have the traits to learn how to pass protect? And do you have the capability to be able to make that transition quickly? There's a problem for everyone.
Trivia question. Where did the Niners rank last year according to PFF on the offensive line? I said it earlier, 13th. Amazing to think. The best lineup was with Aaron Banks at left guard. Jalen Moore played a lot of left tackle, and of course, both are gone. But Schwartz sees another advantage for the 49ers as they try to figure things out at left guard.
You're not playing murderer's row of defensive lines or defenses either. So you should be able to play better this year, right? You have the Seahawks and the Saints and the Cardinals to start, and the Cardinals are rebuilding their defensive line as we speak, right? They added Nolan, obviously. The Saints defensive line, Cam Jordan, we know is really good, but aging a little bit, like not the Seahawks. It's just not, you're not playing murderer's rows of defensive lines. It'll be the best when you play in the first 5 games of the Rams in week 5. It's good. It's a winning schedule, man. I think your offensive line just can't be a disaster. Just be average. And to your point, like you're a playoff team.
Now, getting to the playoffs is one thing. Winning in the playoffs is something else. In the last 5 years, teams with a top 10 offensive line are 71% more likely to win their wildcard matchup. Look at the left. 65% of teams with a top 10 offensive line advance past the first round. Wildcard teams with offensive lines outside of the top 10 won just 38% of the time. So is it an average offensive line?
So we're saying Pooney continues to get better, right?
Yeah.
Trent Williams plays most of the season.
Has to.
I don't love McKivitz. Are we saying that Colby probably doesn't win left guard immediately, right?
I would think not.
So Barch is in there. I'm looking at that. Or Buford's in there.
Or Nick Sikel, who they seem to like.
I think you're probably pushing. I think best case scenario you could be in that inside that 17 ranking for the wild card.
Inside the top 17 isn't great if you're really trying to win at a high level. And with the Niners schedule and a general lack of depth in the NFC, it would feel like a missed opportunity to not at least win a playoff game this year. This time last year, nobody expected Dominic Pooney to look like the right guard of the future. And the 49ers were right about him. Trent Williams' health is absolutely essential, and Christian McCaffrey's return means the offense could be special again. The numbers say you've got to be at least average to have a chance, and Kyle Shanahan has had the recipe before. Will they prove Geoff wrong in 2025? We'll see.